friends, I really welcome you all to this wonderful webinar and an important topic to be discussed. And this is going to be, very informative because we have got two advocates from Supreme Court of India, and then we have personalities like Rashid ji, who has done a lot of things in the police department. She is very famous and popular police officer. Then we have one mountaineer and a person who is from our forces, the Air Force, Squadron Leader Monika Rani. So I welcome you all, Mr. Avnishwar, Professor from FI University, Advocate Priyanka Singh from Supreme Court, Advocate Mr. Kushal Kumar from Supreme Court, and Dr. Rajshri Singh, IPS officer from Gurugram, and Squadron Leader Tulika Rani, and myself, Dr. Arjuman Zaidi. I'm National President for Human Rights India. I'm also Head of UP and Uttarakhand for United Nations Global Compact Network India. We are working to promote UN SDGs, UN Sustainable Development Goals. Also, we are promoting the UDHR, United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. For our viewers, I would like to repeat, especially for the students and the children, the story of human rights in a very brief way. After the Second World War in 1945, there was a lot of destruction and the earth was in a very devastating situation. Millions of people died because of the wars, and a lot of property and wealth was destroyed. So everybody, all the nations decided that we should have some concrete solution to this problem, and we should move forward with a line of peace. And then in 1948, on 10th of December, United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, this charter was approved by all the nations as UN members. And then these 30 articles are called 30 human rights, and they came into being. And this is for everybody, all the nations, everyone has covered the rights. And for this particular charter is not for any country or for any person, it's for everyone on this earth. So at the moment, we are going to discuss article number 19, freedom of expression. Everyone has a right to freedom of opinion and expression. So obviously, but at the same time, we have a responsibility. It doesn't mean if we have a freedom of expression and right to speak, it doesn't mean that we will, target the dignity of a person or we will spoil somebody's reputation. So we have to always be very cautious while speaking. Our words should not be hurting or harmful for any other person. If we do so, then our right finishes at that moment, and the right and duty comes in between. Right of the other person, that he has a right to maintain the dignity, and you have a responsibility to maintain the dignity of other persons as co-citizens, as the people of the world community. So I once again welcome you all. As this senior most among us is our dearmost Rajshri Singh ji. So I would like to invite her for her presentation first as an opening speaker. So welcome you, ma'am, your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Should I continue, Ms. Anjuman?
Yes, ma'am.
So good noon, all the participants, organizers, and host, moderator, Ms. Arjuman Zaidi. Today in the series of webinars on human rights conducted by you all, I am going to speak to you on freedom and expression. The freedom of expression has two phrases. First, freedom, and then expression. The freedom is power. Power to write, power to express, power to speak, to act. This is rendered by our Indian Constitution as a principal America has different kind of freedom to express, act, speak, or do something, write something, to say something. And on the other part, China has different kind of freedom, a very limited one. And you have in India, it is, I think, the medium way. We all have freedom of expression, act, play, write something on somebody, on everybody, and that is up to the extent that sometimes we cross our limits. So later on, it was thought that we should have some restrictions on it. You know, जो इंडिया में बोलने की, विचारों की अभिव्यक्ति, क्योंकि इंसान जब पैदा हुआ, he started from howling and growling status. बोलने का उसको कोई भाषा नहीं थी उस वक्त, लेकिन तब भी वो बोलता था, एक्सप्रेस करता था, शाउट करता था, उसकी भावनाएं जो है वो प्रकट करता था. आज भी जब एक भाषा, एक शैली, एक बोलने का तरीका जो बचपन से हम सीखते आए हैं, उसमें हम सारी विचारों की अभिव्यक्ति के साथ साथ हर चीज को एक्सप्रेस करने का हमें पूरा ज्ञान है, और इस ज्ञान के साथ हम आगे बढ़ते रहे हैं. चाहे वो फ्रीडम जो है वो प्रेस को हो, कॉमन पब्लिक को हो, या ऑफिसर्स को हो, या हमें कोई चीज, किसी चीज की नॉलेज लेनी है, गवर्नमेंट क्या कर रही है वो हमें जानना है आरटीआई के थ्रू. ये सारे जो फ्रीडम है ये इसीलिए दिया गया है कि कोई भी एक जो मतलब अपनी जो है मनमानी इच्छाएं पूरी ना कर सके, जो अपनी मनचाही, जो अननेसेसरी किसी के ऊपर ना थोप सके, दूसरे भी उसको रिएक्ट कर सकें. ये विचारों की अभिव्यक्ति बहुत जरूरी है, खास करके एक डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री में. डेमोक्रेसी मीन्स you have a right to express your feelings, your thoughts, your whether in writing, in actions, or by any other mode. So freedom of expression is an holding pillar of democracy. Think before you speak.
Ma'am, I have a question for you.
Ji.
What are some of the main challenges you are facing during COVID-19 as a police officer? If you can answer in very brief, so that we have limitation of time.
मिस जयदीप, मैं ये बताना चाहूंगी कि पहले जो पुलिस की एक इमेज होती थी सबके मन में, तो एक डर था, हेट्रेड था. लेकिन अभी कोविड-19 के बाद ब्लेसिंग इन डिस्गाइज ये है कि पुलिस वाले जो अच्छे काम करते हैं वो बहुत उभर के आए हैं. पुलिस वालों ने खाना भी बना के दिया है, पुलिस लाइंस में खाना भी बनता रहा है, पुलिस लाइंस में मास्क भी बनते रहे हैं जो लोगों को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते रहे हैं, कंटेनमेंट जोन्स में हमारे लोग जाते रहे हैं, दवाइयाँ देते रहे हैं, बुजुर्गों का जन्मदिन मनाते रहे हैं, और बहुत सारे काम इस तरह के करते रहे हैं जो सोशल वेलफेयर के काम हैं. और पुलिसिंग भी साथ साथ कर रहे थे, लेकिन सोशल वेलफेयर बहुत उभर के आया है. एक ह्यूमन फेस जो पुलिस का वो सामने आया है, और मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि लोग बहुत इज्जत की नजरों से देखते हैं. अब कोई ये नहीं कहता है कि पुलिस वाले चौराहे पे खड़े हैं तो पैसे लेने के लिए खड़े हैं. अब सब लोग कहते हैं कि पुलिस वाले अगर चौक पे खड़े हैं तो कोविड-19 से लोगों को बचाने के लिए खड़े हैं. और क्योंकि मिस जयदी, आप जानते हैं कि पुलिस वाले बेचारे ज्यादा पढ़े लिखे नहीं होते हैं. जो हमारे लोअर लेवल के जो एम्प्लॉयज होते हैं, जो काम करने वाले कर्मचारी, पुलिस कर्मचारी, उनको ज्यादा पता नहीं होता है. लेकिन दिल और जिगर देखिए कि पीपीई सूट तो डॉक्टर्स पहनते हैं, हम तो वो भी नहीं पहनते हैं, क्योंकि इतना पीपीई सूट है ही नहीं देश में. ना उनको सैनिटाइजेशन का पता है, ना उनको हाउ टू प्रोटेक्ट योरसेल्फ विद फ्रॉम द कोविड-19, ये भी नहीं पता है. लेकिन कैसे एक बहादुर की तरह कूद पड़ते हैं जंग के मैदान की तरह कि भाई हमें इस जो है इस कोविड-19 से निजात दिलानी है, सब लोगों को बचा के रखना है. एक ये मोरल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो हम लोगों की थी वो हमने बखूबी निभाई है. और आगे भगवान ना करे कि देश को कभी ऐसी जरूरत पड़े कि कोई और वायरस आए और हम लोग उसका शिकार हों, तो लोगों को हमने जो है सोशल साइट्स पे गाने गा के मुस्कुरा के संदेश दे के, मैं भी पूरा टाइम लगी रही हूँ, आपने मेरी वीडियोस जरूर देखी होगी। तो ऐसे में एक मोरल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो है हमारी जो बनती थी एज ए ह्यूमन बीइंग, वो हमने भरपूर निभाई है और बखूबी निभाई है, और उसमें हमें सफलता भी मिली है। लोगों को समझाने में, हेलमेट लगाइए, मास्क लगाइए, ज्यादा घर से बाहर मत निकलिए, आप 2 गज की दूरी बना के रखिए, सोशल डिस्टेंस के साथ साथ आप, मैं ये कहूँगी कि जो है फिजिकल डिस्टेंसिंग, क्योंकि आप ज्यादा देर हम सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग नहीं कर सकते हैं, अनलॉक खुद चल रहा है, तो फिजिकल डिस्टेंसिंग इज मस्ट। प्लीज टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ। और क्योंकि दिस इज रेनी सीजन है, ह्यूमिडिटी है, तो ये वायरस काफी देर तक हवा में रहता है, लगभग 30 मिनट तक। तो अभी वैसे किसी को कुछ क्लियर आइडिया नहीं है इस बारे में, लेकिन फिर भी एहतियात में ही बचाओ, एहतियात बहुत जरूरी है। सब लोग अपना ध्यान रखेंगे, कोविड-19 से बचेंगे, और इंशाल्लाह हम 2021 में बहुत आसानी से चले जाएंगे।
Thank you very much, Dr. Ashri ji, and for this beautiful presentation and a very thoughtful concerns about COVID-19. And we really salute police officers like you and the policemen who are engaged in the duties of COVID-19 and the protection of the people of India. So we really salute your services and you and your team. And I keep looking on your page, your activities, what you are doing, providing people who are needy, and a lot of other activities. So really, I admire that. Thank you very much. As a note of your presentation, it's really very important that all of us, at the same time, expressing our views, we have to keep that in mind, that we are not hurting anyone or we are not defaming anyone by our expression. That we have to keep that in mind, because this carries some restrictions also, this article. So thank you very much, ma'am, for your presentation. Now I would like to invite Mr. Kushal Kumar. He is a young advocate from Supreme Court, and he has done a lot of activities. He is socially very ignited and very enthusiastically participates in all social activities. So he is part of our team, and he is a very nice gentleman, and I welcome him, and I request him to brief about him as an introduction, very brief, and then he can go ahead with the presentation.
Pleasure, ma'am. Pleasure is all mine, ma'am. I'm very grateful that I am sharing such a dice with such eminent dignitaries, ma'am. Ma'am, I am a practicing lawyer in Supreme Court and High Court and the other jurisdictions of India, and I have been associated to very pro bono cases. I am doing a lot of social activities. I have been associated to a lot of webinars, lot of NGOs, and even I am working on ground that I can help all the general public, and can give what I have in myself to them. I have just opened my own law firm, and I'm just trying that I can give more and more pro bono cases to all those underprivileged and downtrodden people, because that is what my professional ethics says. Right, ma'am. And if I brief about something that I think the freedom of expression is about, then just few days back I was associated to that ISKCON matter. If you all know that one stand-up comedian, I will not take her name, she tried to abuse and tried to defame this ISKCON organization. So I was the one who was looking about that matter, and even at that point of time I had a webinar on this freedom of speech and expression, and where I particularly said that what are the limitations and what are the reasonable restrictions that everybody should have when anybody is expressing themselves. See, for me, if I talk about what freedom of expression is, ma'am, I think that freedom of expression is self-fulfillment of oneself. I think that when somebody want to express himself in terms of opinion, in terms of free and fair opinion, if whether they want to criticize the government, whether they want to criticize an organization, whether they want to criticize any authority. Even see, we utilize this freedom of expression to criticize the police authorities also. We use this freedom of expression to criticize anybody, right? But would he come to our home and they say that what all you are doing is wrong, because at that point of time we say that that Article 19 gives us that right, that we have to give our opinions freely, and we are here to for this freedom of speech and expression. See, what is the difference between freedom of speech and expression is, see, what I feel that all the animals who are in existence in this world, they only have a right to express. But when it comes to human being, they have a right to speech, and they have a right to express also. So that makes a difference, and we are very fortunate enough that we are expressing ourselves. So what comes to the expression is that it's a right to express one's thought and to communicate freely with others, to affirm the dignity, and to we should realize what of worth, and what is the significance of each every member of the society. We have to understand that what is the importance of each and every individual. We have to understand that what every individual rights are not infringed, and we have to understand that what the realization of full human potential is. So I think that the realization of full human potential is the freedom of expression, the freedom of free opinion, the freedom what we utilize through media, through broadcasting, through works of art, through social media, or through digital platforms. See, when it came in 1948, the United Nations Declaration, it is as in the starting of this webinar, Ms. Jadi said that it is for everybody who is in existence in this universe, right? So freedom of expression is something which is everybody's right, but it involves reasonable restrictions too. I say that any right, not even the freedom of expression, any right which exists in this world, that is a qualified right. That is not absolute right. See, for example, if a teacher goes to a classroom, then she should understand that what she has to say, what she has to express, and what is freedom of expression, and where it comes to unlawful discrimination. One she go to the classroom, and she does not discriminate between the other students, irrespective to the caste, culture, or any religion. So see, that is not a general rule. The most important part of freedom of expression is everybody has to understand their moral values, because moral right is not defined anywhere. Moral right is something which each and every individual, not in India, but every individual in this world has to understand that we have a moral right in ourselves, that we should not hurt anybody, we should not hurt anybody's sentiments, anybody's religious sentiments, anybody's belief, and once we are hurting anybody's sentiment, then at that point of time our freedom of expression stops, and their freedom of expression comes in, that yes, you are wrong, and whatever you are doing is wrong. In today's scenario, I will specify my point that freedom of expression is a very wider definition. Every individual can define freedom of expression in their own way. It is not important that what is free for you, what is a free and fair opinion for you, should be a fair opinion for the other person whom you are telling to, or anybody who is hearing to your opinion. So you say that you are utilizing your freedom of expression, but that is not necessary that the other person should realize that is a fair speech, or that is a free speech. In today's pandemic situation, the most important freedom of speech and expression is for the journalist, is for the medical professionalist, is for the authority who are the frontliners, frontiers, like police authority. They have to understand, and we have to understand that the freedom of expression in today's world, in the post-pandemic era and the pre-pandemic era, depends and are most valuable to these professionals. Because see, if media criticize the government on any policy, then they are restricted. We can see what all it is happening in today's world. If police criticizes that we don't have any PPE kits, or we are not getting some necessary equipments to fight this COVID-19 situation, then even they are asked that they are wrong from the government side, because you cannot come openly and you cannot criticize the government. But what I think that that in this situation, every authority, every single authority, especially the medical professionals, especially the journalists, the frontline warriors like police authorities or the NGOs who are facing this tight situation from front, and even they are feeling.
That's very true. That's very true. Thank you very much. Yeah. That's really awesome, and you have given quite a bit insights and very nice overview about freedom and expression. That is right, that it is qualified but not absolute. This is correct, because it carries restrictions. See, there are 30 human rights, but at the same time, among those 30 rights, we have one responsibility also, right number 29.
Yes.
So we cannot forget, with every right we have a responsibility as well. So that carries a responsibility that you have to maintain the law and order, and you have to maintain the dignity of that right. It doesn't mean that you have freedom of expression, that means you will say anything to anyone. And at the same time, it should be regulated by the government of India. I hope government will think about it, that this freedom of expression need to be regularized on the social media platforms and digital platforms. That's very true. And because 100% true, this might be a threat to the security of the country and to the individuals. So thank you very much, Mr. Kumar. And I have a question for you, which you will reply very briefly, because we are running short of time and there are so many other speakers. Yeah. What has been the most challenging case you have encountered in terms of fighting for freedom of expression in your career?
See, ma'am, it's a very broad question, right? Because when you are working in the appeal courts, when you are working in High Court and Supreme Court, then most of the matters we do is on writs, right? And when you are working on writs, then you are directly working on the fundamental rights. So once if there is a case in Supreme Court, there is a public interest litigation, or there is any case for the infringement of right of any individual, any media, any press, that is in the appeal courts only, because the appeal court has the jurisdiction for this writ jurisdictions. See, if I say what is the most important challenge, what I am facing and I have faced, that to represent the underprivileged and to represent the downtrodden people of the society. Because when you are doing a pro bono case, then you have to be very much professionally strong, and you have to be very much ethically strong, that what all you are doing for the other cases, you have to do for them. Because when you are fighting for an indigent person, when you are fighting for a person who don't have any sort of such monetary assistance with them, but still you are fighting for them with all your efforts, then I think that is the most important challenge. You cannot particularize the challenges, because every case has a different challenge, and every person comes with a different challenge. But when you are fighting for somebody who cannot pay you, then that is a bigger challenge, because you have to be professionally, ethically strong, that you have to give your best to that person.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's very true. To do all such things, you need to be very strong morally, and you should be a person who is really socially ignited. So thank you very much, Mr. Kumar, for this
Thank
beautiful
you.
presentation.
Grateful.
Now, without
Grateful to
wasting
share
any
with all of you.
further time, I will invite our dear Tulika Rani, who is from our own city, Lucknow. Presentation, ma'am, and briefly introduce yourself first, and then I want your presentation.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me an opportunity to speak on this platform. For my introduction, I would say that I have been in Indian Armed Forces, Indian Air Force for 10 years, and I had the privilege to be associated with air traffic controlling as well as an outdoor training instructor. I had the opportunity to train young upcoming officers in military craft, including India's three first female fighter pilots. So that was a blessing for me also to learn from them and to see their transformation. In addition, I have been a mountaineer and I have done 23 mountaineering and trekking expeditions around the world. Also, I
within and from the family. So we should start this practice that everyone, every member of our family should be heard properly. Always a good speaker is a good listener also. So, and apart from that, I would like to mention here that Mahatma Gandhi has quoted that any change you want to see in the world, be the change, you know. So we have to be the change to see what we want to see in the world. So that's very right. And I have a question and which you can reply very briefly because we are having no time, already finished the time. Can you share a memorable incident with our viewers while you were part of the Indian Air Force?
Yes. There was a time when it was my first posting. I was a very young officer, and there was a non-combatant, an elderly person, who had run away twice or thrice and been absent without leave. So, as per the rules, because God has a very defined rule for everything, as per the rules, he was to be apprehended, brought back, and given an accordingly punishment for that offense, because it was an offense to be absent without leave. But and I was made the investigating officer for that case. And as soon as when I talked to the person, I realized that he runs away because unfortunately, in a natural disaster, his entire family was wiped off, and he had no motivation to work anymore in that setup. He just wanted to go back to his village and live there with his roots, perhaps with the memory of his family members. He had not taken any possession from the government, neither his ID card nor any other, nothing stolen also. He would just go away. So when I investigated this case, if I had to go by rules, I just recommend in my report that this was the offense committed. He has agreed to it, and now this is the punishment by the rules which should be meted out to him. But on humanitarian basis, I wrote a note in that report that considering his situation, a humanitarian view shall be taken, and accordingly the case shall be dealt on a humanitarian basis. So this was my power of expression which I utilized even in a setup which goes strictly by the rules. So here I can say that if you utilize your power of expression in a constructive way, this will be better and it will be for the betterment of the humanity of your fellow beings. So this was one example that I wanted to give.
Yes, thank you very much. That's really nice, and thank you for this beautiful presentation and accepting our invitation. Thank you very much once again. And now, Avneesh ji, you have to wait for a little bit. आपको अपनी team है, so there is no problem. But we have a guest here, Advocate Priyanka Singh. She is also from Supreme Court. So let's hear her what she says. So, ma'am, over to you for your presentation. And briefly, please introduce yourself and then give the presentation.
Good afternoon. I am Advocate Priyanka Singh. Today we have assembled here. I'm just going to be very brief because I think actually we have run way.
1 second, just Rajshri Singh ji.
So I would say that today we have assembled on a very important and crucial topic.
Right now, I think she might have to go somewhere, or so please let's say goodbye to her for the time, and she will come again in some other program. So thank you very much for coming and giving so much time, and we are looking forward to have you another time and welcome you in another program. Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what I was saying, we have assembled today on a very crucial topic, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. United Nations has established 17 goals. Now the question is why it is called United Nations Sustainable Goals. It is called Sustainable Goals in the layman terms. If I explain it, how to sustain the development or goal achieved. Because United Nations is not looking for achieving the goal. Like see, for example, we take that there is a minimum development goal set for the nation or individual. The nations achieve it for one nation or a certain set of individuals, and then we don't sustain it. The point is sustaining. And sustainable development goal is very, very big task. It's a Herculean task, we can say. Now the question that we should ask, why these goals were created in the first place? Why? What is the need of the sustainable development goals? So the United Nations Development Goals were created with the intention of working toward a healthier, happier and more sustainable future on a global scale. The UN based the United Nations based the goals on existing documents like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which outlines the basic opportunity that every human should get. These are the basic opportunities like right to livelihood, right to have a decent life, life to work, life to live, life to earn, and obviously right to freedom of expression. All of the goals describe issues that impact the entire population of the world and are universally important to maintain a sustainable.
Ma'am, we can't hear you right now.
Strong
There's some-
institution.
Yeah.
It is one of the 17.
Yeah, oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. It is one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals established by the United Nations way back in 2015. In the same spirit of achieving sustainable development and basic human rights, it talks about freedom of speech and expression. Now we can ask a question to answer what is freedom of speech. It's a very basic question, but I would like to again explain what is freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a principle that supports the freedom of an individual, not only an individual but also a community, to articulate their opinions and ideas without fear of retaliation, censorship, or legal action. Now, what is freedom of expression? Freedom of expression is a little wider term than freedom of speech because it involves seeking, receiving, and imparting opinion, ideas, irrespective of the medium. It can be through online, it can be an art form, it can be a speech. The freedom of expression is recognized as a human right under Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I would like to see how QDSR has defined Article 19. So it's a very, the definition is beautiful. I was just going through it. It is so well presented that almost every aspect of freedom of expression is covered. So I'll just read it out. Universal Declaration of Human Rights Article 19 states that everyone has a right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive and impart information. I would just repeat, seek, receive and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of the frontiers. However, ICCPR has amended this freedom in subsequent amendment, and it says that these freedoms cannot be unbridled. It cannot be a wild horse. You just cannot put your mouth, put your foot in your mouth. There has to be some, and ICCPR has stated that the exercise of this right carries special duties and responsibilities. The term that the ICCPR has used as special duties and responsibilities. What are these special duties and responsibilities? These special duties and responsibilities are normal human consideration that I have to respect someone's reputation. I have to respect national security. The normal common thing which we have to respect. When we are staying in a family, we have to respect our family members. Similarly, when we speak, we have to respect human emotion. We have to respect national security. We have to respect copyright infringement because that is the form of someone's expression to protect the community, or even when we have to protect the respect of one particular individual. On that note, I think I would just conclude.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am, for this informative presentation. I have a question which you can answer very briefly because we are having another speaker waiting since long and the time is also over. Have you ever faced a case where freedom of expression of a woman was being infringed upon?
Ms. Jadia, I would not say that I have personally faced, but yes, I have seen. As a lawyer who is working extensively for women's rights, yes, I have seen it many a time. See, let's start with from a woman's childhood. When a woman when we you go to say not only in smaller towns, but when you go to a lot of societies wherein a woman voice something, she's hushed up, saying that you are not a boy. Hi, aisa karega, you can't do this. She grows up and she wants to marry a man of her choice. And again, she's ostracized. We know about a lot of systems wherein they are chased like animals and killed. Many a times these females have approached me. We have approached High Court. We have moved writ petition for their protection. But there's a time limit. There's a time when they can stay in this shelter home, this protection home. The moment they go out, they are hunted and they are killed. Examples are numerous. The third scenario, the basic fundamental right, which is a part of fundamental right, is right to property. Do we really think that a woman has a right to property? No, it is presumed that she would not ask. She will not get a share. Certain circumstances wherein the situation is so compelling, like she is unmarried, she is sick, or she is divorced, she cannot ask. And when she is asked in court, people will ask me, Arey, what kind of girl she is, what kind of client you are having. She is asking for property. She is not respecting the relation. Why she only has to respect the relation? Why can't she automatically get a share of the pie? So these are numerous scenarios wherein I say that freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and freedom of basic rights are still a distant and far-fetched idea for female in general. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. You are correct that it's high time now that people should consider women equally, and there should be no discrimination of caste, gender, and breed. So let's all honor that. And thank you very much for this wonderful, awesome presentation by you. And now our own Avnish ji is waiting. So, and then go ahead with the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Dr. Zaidi for inviting me for this session. And at the outset, first of all, I would like to extend my greetings of the day to Squadron Leader Tulika Rani, Supreme Court Advocate Kushal Sharma, and Supreme Court Advocate Priyanka Singh, and ma'am has left already, IPS officer. So thank you everyone for joining the session. At the outset, I would like to introduce myself as Dr. Avnish Bhatt. I am a faculty at
Problem in the...
To begin with my presentation or speech, there are a lot of questions comes into my mind since one hour. That why this concept, why we were debating on this, why we were advocating the concept of freedom of speech and expression, and why it is so relevant, why it is so important that it should go to the community that yes, there is a freedom of speech and expression, pros and cons, and the importance. So we must understand the root cause of the freedom of speech and expression. So why it matters? Always there is a question that why it matters. Now we must understand that without free speech, there is no enjoyment of other rights. Excuse me?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, whether I am audible?
Yeah.
Am I audible clearly?
Yes. Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Am I audible clearly?
Yes. We can hear you. Hello?
Ma'am, am I audible? Am I audible clearly?
Yeah. You are audible.
All right. So always there's a question comes, okay. So that's why I need to bring the matter from the root cause. That why freedom of speech and expression matters. What is the relevancy of this matter? So we must understand that without free speech, other rights are not possible. So there is always a linkage of the other rights synced with the freedom of speech and expression. Now we had a discussion Advocate Kushal has advocated about this concept. Advocate Priyanka has communicated. Squadron leader Tulika ma'am has communicated. So many perspectives. So there are certain demerits also to speak in the last, but there are certain merits also to speak in the last, because I can conclude with all the perspective on the one single platform. So I will categorize this into three different perspectives. First is the legal perspective, then the social, but the viewers are heterogeneous in nature. So we are having the viewers in a heterogeneous matter. So that's why if we only talks about the legal perspective, that maybe many of the viewers miss the real essence of freedom of speech and expression. Now to begin with the starting phase, it comes from the concept of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is one of the evolution from the United Nations Organization. Now if we check the word, the Universal Declaration, so it's universally declared. So universally declared doesn't categorize anyone into segments. So it is universally applicable to all the countries applicable. Now the legal perspective, few of the legal perspective has already been communicated. Few I would like to bring to the notice, like it is Article 19, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, Article 10, European Commission of Human Rights, Article 13, American Constitution of Human Rights, Article 9 of African Charter of Human Rights and People's Right. At the same time, we always talks about the Article 19, but at the same time, the other side of a coin, that is the hate speech, the defamation part, also we must bring into the notice. That is, the hate speech is also considered under Article 20 of the United Nations Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. Also, defamation and hate speeches are always under the scanner, which is also provided under United Nations Human Rights Committee 2011 in para 27. So all these aspects also we must communicate. Now, how this begins? Now, if we see Article 1 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it states as, and I quote, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Now, this is the sole basis of all the other rights. Now, if I read again, all human beings born free, equal in dignity and rights. Now, I am having some contrasting views on that. Now, our eminent speakers have already communicated that the cell phone, the media. Now, if I categorize into social perspective, what about the freedom of speech and expression of children, of old age, of women, of men, of handicapped, of prisoners? If we go into the roots, if we go into the base of the society, then we can find there are a lot of gaps. We all are educated. We are PhDs, Supreme Court advocates. We know the things. But whether we have checked that in the rural areas, whether they are aware of this kind of rights, whether are they aware that there is a freedom of expression? What about the child who want to communicate the truth to the parents? So many times I see personally there is a cruelty on children by the parents itself. Whether they promote this freedom of speech and expression in every perspective. What about the prisoners who want to speak at times? But we always press the views. What about the old age who want to communicate something or anything to their children? So there is always a contrasting view. Now, this is one of my suggestions that we need to sensitize this matter. That freedom of speech and expression, as we belong from the educated community, we all are aware of this. But actually, if we go to the rural areas, actually, if we go to the other segments of the society, they are not aware of any kind of these rights. They are not aware of United Nations Organization. They are not aware of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We can say there is a hate speech. We can say there is a defamation. We can say the press have stretched the limits. But at the same time, whether we educate the people that this is your limit, whether we educate the community we always communicate that okay, this is the freedom of speech and expression, but whether we communicate that this is the limitation, till which part you can stretch your freedom of speech and expression. And that's why, because of this contrasting aspects, that's why there are cases in the courts, because of the lack of education, which I feel. Now, if we only address the legal perspective, now what about the child who is studying and the commerce? What about the child who is studying science? Whether they are aware of the freedom of speech and expression, whether they are aware of the rights. So I say, being from the academic fraternity, they are not aware. So it is our responsibility, it is our duty, being from the youths. So we must sensitize this perspective. The more we sensitize, the more we get positive response. The more we sensitize, the more we got the healthy society. Because if we can educate every part of the society, their rights, Universal Declaration, United Nations Charter, Constitution of India, these are the basic perspective. If we are able to sensitize the society, then of course the result will be positive. So these are one of the matters which needs to be addressed. Of course, there are legal perspective, there are lots of cases. So freedom of expression, of course, not absolute, and it must not be absolute. And that's why the restriction has been provided under Article 19, Clause 3 of International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. And that's why the demarcation has been provided under Article 20 of United Nations Covenant of Civil and Political Rights. And that's why the demarcation has been provided under Article 19 of Constitution of India. But the only thing which I feel from the academic fraternity, that there is a huge gap regarding the educational perspective between the society. Because they are not aware, because they are not aware of their freedom of speech and expression, because they are not aware of the upper limit that they cannot stretch up to that level. So that's why there is a crime. That's why the media issues are there. That's why the other associated issues are there. So what I suggest, we must sensitize the issue. We all having certain responsibilities. If we able to sensitize the issue, if we take forward the United Nations Sustainable Goals and go to the society, educate them in such a manner so they can mold themselves in a positive perspective. So rather than I would like to stop here because we have already consumed a lot of time. So thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity. So this is my crisp and short.
Thank you very much. And this was perfect and very informative and very positive. That is 100% correct. That we should ignite and sensitize our children and youth because they are the generations who are going to lead us. So we have to really prepare them to become good leaders and to be positive and create awareness about Universal Declaration and Sustainable Development Goals in the masses and interior areas like villages and uneducated class also. So as part of our campaign, we are doing that, and Mr. Avnish Bhatt is part of our team, very integral part of our team. We are doing a lot of activities together, and last year as we have ignited almost 1 million people, and this year also we had a plan, but because of the COVID, we are not going to address the masses and gatherings. We are not doing anything like that, so we are just using this web platform, and I'm sure many of the people will get enlightened by your valuable thoughts. All eminent speakers have given a very wonderful overview about this subject and the topic. So thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity.
At last, I will ask one question. And Avnish, very briefly, like the presentation you have given perfectly. So very briefly answer this question. It's very important because it's related to youth. He's very popular among the youth because he's a young professor and his students are amazing. He has trained them well. They are socially ignited and very nice, cultured. So thank you very much, Priyanka ma'am, for coming.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me.
Dulika ma'am, you are going to be our team now. And
Thank you.
for that, yes. And
Thank you.
And you already are part of a team. So
Bye, Fabulous.
Mr. Kushal is already a part of our team. So whenever I talk to you, I get a lot of positive energy. As a youth advocate, he talks about positive things and it's very bright. So thank you very much for coming and giving your valuable time. Thank you very much, everybody. And I enjoyed talking to you, and this was really fruitful